Go ahead, Frank.
Kano caught sight of a girl in a hoodie weaving her way between the stopped cars on foot. He rolled down the window and called out to her.
Excuse me, miss? Did something happen?
Huh? What do you mean?
With the road, I mean. What's with all the traffic?
Oh, right. Apparently there was some big accident over by the train station. That's probably what's causing it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think you guys are gonna be going anywhere for quite a while.
She smiled and went on her way. Stanley gave the steering wheel another punch.
Well, I guess they did say this wasn't just some typical ransom case.
He muttered. Kano saw an opportunity.
They're not after the money. Then what are they after?
Stanley kept his eyes forward, acting as if he hadn't heard.
Look,
Kano said.
I can't help you keep me out of the loop.
After a few moments of thought, Stanley replied with a single monosyllable.
Rugs.
What?
Maria's father, Kenji Osawa. I assume you're aware he works for Okoshi Pharmaceutical?
I am?
Nothing's been made public yet, but Osawa recently oversaw the development of a new drug. And someone is trying to get their hands on it.
Kano's mind latched onto this new information, trying to assemble the pieces of an evolving puzzle.
Someone? Who?
International criminal mastermind. This foreign syndicate is merely a tool in someone else's game.
Kano regarded Stanley's face carefully. He looked more cold and serious than ever.
So wait, does that mean that the reason we're letting this syndicate walk around unfettered
Is on my orders, yes.
I see. So the only thing you're really concerned with is catching this international mastermind?
Precisely.
Kano felt like he was starting to get a picture of what sort of person Stanley was.
So you don't really care what happens to the girl who's been abducted, do you?
Particularly, no. Why? Do you have a problem with that?
Kano clenched his fist. His hand was shaking with anger.
Dick Dictum number 8. When you really want to punch something, you really probably shouldn't.
Kano recited the words inwardly like some sort of desperate mantra. If he didn't manage to calm himself down, he was liable to slam his fist right into Stanley's face. Outside the car, the traffic remained at a standstill. Kano chafed against a feeling of utter futility. One after another, his uncertainties came nag at him. Was Maria still safe? What had happened to Hitomi and Tateno, her bodyguard? And now, on top of all this, it struck Kano as rather careless to send Sasayama away with Al-Karawan without any backup. Now that Jack had alerted him to the presence of a dangerous international mastermind still on the loose. Fighting back his fit of pique, Kano got out his cell phone. He dialed up Detective Kajiwara, who was stationed at the Osawa residence. He hoped a little more information about the family's two daughters might shed some light on the situation. The detective answered promptly.
Kajiwara here.
Hey, it's Kano.
Who? Kano.
A horrid, jarring beeping was audible from the other end of the line.
What's that noise?
Kano asked.
Sorry, hold on. I can't really hear you. Okay, go on.
It sounded like Kajiwara had moved away from the source of the noise, though Kano could still hear it faintly in the background. He explained that he was looking for more info on the Osawa girls.
Honestly, Detective Kano, I thought you were more mature than this.
Kajiwara said disapprovingly.
Come again?
Kano said, bewildered.
What's with the attitude all of a sudden?
You've got a little crush, don't you?
Kajiwara told him.
What? No, Detective,
No.
that's why.
You mustn't let yourself get personally attached to an investigation. Still, I was young and impulsive myself once. I guess I could tell you one thing.
Kano kept his cell phone pressed tight against his ear.
The two girls, they look exactly alike.
Kajiwara kept his voice low, as if he were revealing a major secret. But Kano knew this already. Everyone assigned to the investigation had been informed that the girls were twins at the previous night's briefing.
However,
Kajiwara continued, still sotto voce.
their personalities are pretty different. The younger sister, Hitomi, is quiet and reserved, but Maria is apparently more of a busybody.
Huh, let's see.
Kano thought back on Hitomi, standing in front of the statue of Hachiko. She had indeed seemed like an introvert, though Kano had also sensed her intense commitment to helping her sister. Perhaps she was less demonstrative, but her heart certainly seemed to be in the right place.
Is that me or?
That's the question. Why? Oh,
Kano heard someone shouting in the background wherever Kajiwara was.
what was that just now?
He asked.
Mr. Osawa, the girl's father. I think something might have happened.
Kajiwara's voice was laced with concern.
I should go see what this is all about.
Yeah, probably.
But Kano, tell me,
Yes?
which one is it? Which one do you have a crush on?
Kano hung up. At long last, the traffic began to move again. Although, almost as soon as it did, however, Stanley had to slam on the brakes. A frantic-looking man had jumped out in front of the car.
Whoa, hey! What the hell are you doing?
Kano sputtered. Stranger plastered his face against the passenger side window.
Open up!
He shouted.
Open the door!
The guy showed every sign of total panic.
Don't do it.
Stanley warned. Kano hesitated. It wasn't like they could just drive off with this fellow clinging to the car.
Please! You gotta help me!
The man slipped his fingers in through the gap in the window, trying to force it further open.
Help me!
Whoa, hold on. What's your deal?
Help me!
Sir, just tell me what...
Help me!
Look, up ahead.
Stanley exclaimed suddenly. Kano whipped his head around. There, walking along the sidewalk ahead, was Al-Karawan, very much not in custody.
What the hell?
Kano tried to jump out of the car, but the frantic stranger had gotten his upper body wedged in the window and the door wouldn't open. Stanley, with his usual steely expression replaced with a look of shock, exited on the driver's side and went after Al-Karawan himself. Kano shouted at the man in the window.
Alright, get in.
If the guy was that desperate to get inside, Kano wasn't about to stop it. Besides, he needed to get the guy to calm down and let go of his arm.
Ow!
The man yelped.
Let's go, let's go!
He was the one holding on. Why was he demanding to be let go?
What the hell is going on?
Just as Kano's thought was forming, the crazed stranger was yanked back out of the car, dragging Kano with him. A pair of rough-looking men had grabbed him by his lower body.
No!
He screamed.
I can't do 80 days hard labor!
Somehow he was still managing to cling to the car door.
Nolan.
Just give it up and let go already, snarled one of the assailants. The pair shifted their grip and pulled even harder. Kano heard the sound of tearing fabric as the two toughs tumbled backward. Just like that, the crazed stranger was stripped down to his boxers. He let out a pathetic wail.
Oh, man!
The two toughs burst into uproarious laughter at the sight.
Frank.
Now's our chance! One of them managed to sputter. The pantsless man snatched up his ruined garment and bolted like a startled hare. Still cackling madly, his two pursuers rushed after him. Kano was still staring dumbstruck at the spectacle when Stanley returned to the car.
No luck. I lost track of them.
This doesn't make sense.
Kano said, forcing himself to refocus on the case.
Al-Kawan was taken back to the precinct. What's he doing walking free?
Stanley gave him a dubious look.
Have you seriously not figured it out?
He asked.
Or is it some strange Japanese joke I'm not getting?
What are you talking about?
Kano replied.
Do you know something I don't?
Evidently I do. Your detective Sasayama let him go on purpose. That's the only explanation.
Enraged at the suggestion, Kano took a swing at him, but Stanley coolly caught his fist.
It's not me you should be punching.
The American warned.
It's Sasayama.
Kano radioed Kuze on the wireless.
Sir, Sasayama was supposed to bring Tariq Al-Karan into headquarters. What's going on?
It appeared that Detective Toteno has gone rogue.
Kuze replied with chagrin.
Wait, what?
Kano was sure he'd misheard. What did Toteno have to do with any of this?
We've received an eyewitness account. Someone saw him allowing the suspect to go free.
No, it can't be.
Sasayama was able to back up the account too.
Kuze added.
He says he handed Al-Karan over to Toteno.
Where's Detective Totano right now?
We don't know that.
Kuze said.
Just what the hell's going on? Look, I don't have time to talk right now.
He cut the line. Stanley let out a low chuckle.
I see. Looks like you had a traitor in your midst.
Kano grabbed him by the collar.
What are you trying to pull here?
Tell me what you know!
Kano snapped.
All I did is state the facts.
Look, I watched that man risk his life to talk down would-be arsonists. He's a dying-to-will detective. He'd never betray anybody!
I see.
Stanley murmured.
Then he's a real deal.
Kano stared in surprise. He'd expected an argument.
Good.
He said.
Glad we're on the same page. Totano risked his life in order to get people to trust him.
Wait, that's me.
Oh. Start over.
Toteno risked his life in order to get the people to trust him. He's a dyed-in-the-wool spy, is what he is.
Kano didn't have the words. His clenched fist trembling once more, he fumbled for his cell phone again. He dialed Toteno's number. The phone rang 5 times, but failed to connect.
There has to be a reason for this.
Kano muttered.
Totano must know something we don't.
Really now?
Stanley scoffed.
And what makes you so sure of that?
Because Detective Totano was sure this kidnapping wasn't about the ransom.
Kano's mind drifted back to 9 o'clock that morning. Out of their stakeout at the Scramble, he was walking with Toteno through the halls of the Shibuya precinct.
You're gonna do a bang-up job out there, Detective Totano.
He chirped. He was maybe a bit too excited about getting to take part in such a major case. Toteno patted Kano on the back.
Emilio.
need to take a step back. You're not letting yourself see the forest for the tree.
What do you mean, sir?
What I mean is that this is no ordinary kidnapping.
Tenno's words triggered a little revelation.
You're talking about the location for the ransom handoff, aren't you?
Kano said.
It does make sense for the criminals to pick such a major intersection.
Warmer.
The Tenno replied. Kano frowned inwardly. He'd been so sure that was the answer.
Have you thought about why they asked to have the sister make the handoff?
Kano thought some more before answering.
Because women are easier to deal with?
He suggested.
Colder. If that was the case, why not pick the mother? No, what worries me is the fact that the Osawa girls are twin. They're having to send someone to hand them to the handoff who looks identical to the girl they kidnapped. What's going to happen when we do that?
What is going to happen, sir?
Kano asked.
I'm not sure yet, but I have a feeling the kidnapper's plan hinges on it.
The two exited through the precinct's main entrance. Up ahead, rows of buildings stood tall against the backdrop of a bright blue sky. The Tenno let out a quiet sigh.
To think that so many terrible things are happening out there on such a beautiful day. Solve one case and another's waiting.
He went on.
As always, what is it about people that drives them to do such horrible things? A girl abducted out of pure greed. When I think of how her parents must feel, I almost can't bear it.
They made their way toward the scramble. Tenno continued talking in a quiet voice.
My father was a raging alcoholic. The house was always a complete mess. He was loud, violent, never had any money, always reeked of booze. My mother, she would cry and cry. I was afraid to come home. Every day, I stayed out playing as late as I could possibly manage.
Kano could hear the pain in Tenno's voice.
That life took too much of a toll on my mother. She died when I was still in grade school. And my father, he just got worse. I was there with him at the end, after he'd wasted away to almost nothing. Not the sort of childhood I'd ever wish on anybody.
Sounds like really went through a lot.
Kano hated himself for uttering such an empty platitude, but he had no idea what else to say.
Kano, as old as I am, I still don't really know what it is to be happy. I think that's probably because I've never known what it's like to have a happy family.
The Tenno sounded so forlorn.
The only happiness I know how to protect is other people's happiness.
Kano heard in those words the soul of a true detective.
The tunnel.
I just hope you're ready.
Kano did his best to keep his voice as calm and level as he could. Lifting up his clenched fist.
Because if I prove that the Tano is innocent, I plant this right into your jaw.
Stanley just cracked a wry smile. The traffic had finally diminished, and they rapidly drew close to their destination. Syndicate's hangout was in Tomigaya, to the southwest of Yoyogi Park. The ratty building looked like it might come crashing down at any minute. The Black Lodge sign out front looked deliberately ominous. Kano knew the place as a bar frequented by expats from various countries, as well as a hotbed of criminal activity.
I'll take point.
Stanley said.
You back me up.
Pulled a handgun from his suit pocket. It was a compact Glock, a model frequently used by the FBI or CIA. Kano drew his own gun, and the two cautiously made their way inside. At the end of the hallway was a wooden door. Stanley signaled with his eyes. Kano gave a tiny nod, and Stanley kicked the door in. The stench of blood hit them as soon as they stepped inside. Kano let out a startled gasp. There were nearly a dozen bodies sprawled out across the floor. He recognized them all. They were the men who'd participated in the repeated attaché case handoffs. Each appeared to have been stabbed to death. Stanley took a closer look.
Blood's not fully dried. These guys weren't killed that long ago.
Kano quickly scanned the bar, high and low, but there was no sign of a killer in hiding. There was no trace of Maria either. One of the fallen men let out a faint, strained groan.
Hey!
Kano called out.
Stay with us!
He hunched down beside the wounded man.
Justin.
A brief gurgle rose from the man's throat. He was clearly struggling to say something. But his voice was too garbled, too indistinct for Kano to make out any coherent words.
What was that?
But there was no more. The dying man went limp and still. Mr. Osawa? It's Kajiwara. Ah, perfect timing. Osawa hurried to let the detective into the study. The bug tracker's picking up signals. Oh, never mind. Oh? Yes, from all over the room. What should I do? Mr. Osawa, please calm down. As if that were even possible right now. It feels like there must be 10, no, maybe 100 listening devices in here. Kajiwara didn't miss a beat. Let me be honest with you. That bug tracker is... All of a sudden, a different noise cut in over the bug tracker. Kajiwara here. Huh? Kano? Kajiwara's customary nonchalant expression vanished into a sudden seriousness. Sorry, hold on, he continued. I can't really hear you. He headed out of the room, the phone clutched to his ear. Hold on. Osawa was left to wonder what the detective had been about to tell him. The bug tracker was what? What the heck was going on? The sound wasn't stopping. Deciding that he better do something, Osawa took the bug tracker and checked behind his bookcase. Didn't seem like the signal was coming from back there. He proceeded to pull each and every one of the books off the shelf. Nothing. He checked the area around his computer. He scanned the monitor, the case, the power outlet. But he found nothing that could be a listening device anywhere. He found a small screwdriver and dismantled the mouse. The brown circuit board was lined with chips, but nothing appeared out of the ordinary. And still, the mechanical sound continued, mocking him. Just try to find it. Go ahead, look everywhere. Beep, 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 beep. He was being ridiculed. The sound just wouldn't stop. And still the time ticked past. Had it been 5 minutes? 10? Maybe more. He began to lose hope that he could find the listening devices, and even to stop caring. Instead, he was overcome with the feeling that this room, which for years had been his sanctuary, had ceased to be his own. It was as if something other had intruded and laid claim to his personal space. In his fevered mind, he began to hear the tracker's sound as a high-pitched laugh. An accursed, relentless noise. Cruel and taunting. The mockery of the devil himself. Osawa hurled the bug tracker against the wall. Then he picked it up, only to smash it back onto the floor. Then he stomped on it ferociously. There was a satisfying snap, accompanied by the sensation of the thing being crushed underfoot. The noise stopped, or, well, it ought to have. And yet, for some reason, the horrid noise kept sounding in Osawa's ears. It wasn't coming from the bug tracker after all. It was inside his own head. Somewhere inescapable. Echoing within his skull. No, the noise didn't stop. It only grew louder. Why? 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 Osawa screamed. Why? Why was he being tormented like this? He couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't even think straight anymore. He felt his mind beginning to dissolve. And they were halfway across the car, slammed on
I think
his
we
brakes
did
to
this
keep them
before. It's strange. We went through the whole way, I think.
That was new.
What was that?
That was new.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's all good. Come on, let's go.
Achi led the way down several twisting side streets before slowing his pace. By now, Hitomi was slumped and panting heavily. He wanted to give her some time to rest, but if they just hung around, their pursuers might still find them. He looked around and spotted a multi-tenant building. The nearest door was open. Bundles of flyers are set out near the entrance. Achi peeked inside and saw piles of plywood and painted lumber. It looked like this was a storeroom for a theater's stage props and scenery,
We can hide out here.
he said.
But
Hitomi hesitated, but Achi gave her hand a little tug.
It'll be fine. There's nobody around.
They stepped inside the storeroom and Achi quickly shut the door behind them.
Yeah, we did do this. I remember them hiding out when the theater kids come in.
Yeah, we did do this part. We just didn't do that one scene.
Yeah. Hold on.
It said B last time.
I think we just stick with B. Did this happen last time?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay. Achi?
Look, I've got a favor to ask you. I'm in a real bind here.
Jules.
Like, things are ridiculously bad. I thought maybe you could help me out a little bit.
You seriously thought I'd help you?
Susumu's words were like ice.
You messing with me or something, man?
Oh, whoops. Wait, let me check to see who was playing this.
Now they sounded a touch angry as well. Painful memories flashed before Achi's eyes.
Right. Then, sorry to bug you. Just forget it.
But Susumu hung up before Achi was finished talking.
No dice.
Achi said to Hitomi with a lopsided frown. She looked back at him, her expression a mirror of his own.
What should we do?
What should we do?
I guess we're back to Mr. Tanaka.
Guess so. You want to head back? You want to go ahead then?
Not this
Hitomi tried calling him.
This part already did.
Okay.
Ugh, no good.
I'm wrong.
Oh.
The door wasn't nearly as sturdy as Achi had expected.
I think I can make this work.
He backed up to get a running start, then kicked the door with all his might.
Hiya!
The door went flying off its hinges.
Oh man, that was way too easy.
Achi stepped cautiously out of the storeroom. He quickly scanned the surrounding area. There was nobody in sight.
Looks like we're in the clear.
He called. But Hitomi didn't come out, nor did she reply.
Hitomi?
She had her phone in hand, apparently still trying to get in touch with Tanaka. With a tiny sigh, Achi leaned against the wall and waited for her to finish.
Well,
Doesn't look like I'm going to have any luck.
She said.
you know we can leave now, right? Are you still holding out hope for your Mr. Tanaka?
It's not that. I'm just a little worried.
Oh yeah. Okie dokie. Then I'll just wait around here.
Okay, I'll be right with you.
Uh-huh.
Achi shuffled his way back outside.
Oh, crap.
By the time Achi could finish processing the thought, he was already laid out on the ground. His jaw hit the asphalt hard. He bit the tip of his tongue clean off. A taste of blood filled his mouth. A moment later, he took a sharp blow to the head. He was done for. All the energy drained from his body. His mind whirled. His vision grew hazy. He began to drift from consciousness. Back when he'd run with Susumu and the others, he'd never left himself exposed to a surprise attack. There were plenty of times when he'd taken a punch that sent him reeling, only to spin away and come back swinging. This time, he hadn't even seen it coming. It was his last mistake.
Guess I let myself go soft.
Achi grimaced inwardly, muttering in a voice no one but he could hear.
Hitomi, I'm so sorry.
He dialed up Sasayama. He wanted to make sure his partner had gotten Al-Karawan back to the precinct safely. Sasayama picked up almost right away.
Nolan.
Kano, what's up?
How are things on your end? Any problems getting Al Karawa back?
Sorry, my computer's glitching out.
It's okay.
Nah, I've got Tatano taking care of him.
Wait, what?
Kano could hardly believe his ears.
You're in touch with Tatano?
He asked. You could hear the shock in his own voice.
Yeah? Just bumped into him by the precinct a little while ago.
Then he is safe.
Kano felt a surge of relief.
What about Hitomi then?
Stanley glanced over at him, curious.
Tateno says he lost track of her somehow. And then he got called back to the precinct, apparently.
Heno had lost track of her,
It's not like him.
Kano thought.
Since he was headed back there anyway, I handed our guy over to him.
Sasayama said.
I see.
Kano was glad to hear that Tateno was all right, but his relief was tempered by a surge of anger at the thought of what had happened to Hitomi.
Now I'm back tailing the attaché case.
Sasayama continued.
Today's my wife's birthday, you know. My plan is to wrap this thing up ASAP, so we can celebrate. I've already got a present and everything.
I envy you, man.
Closing his eyes, Kano took a moment to picture Rumi. But Shizuo's face popped into his mind's eye right alongside of her.
Oh, just hang in there, buddy. Oh,
Well, just hang in there, buddy. Even if your girlfriend is just a picture of Masami Nagahata? Nagahama.
Still snickering, Sasayama hung up. Kano bit his lip and slipped his phone back into his pocket.
okay, everything else is the same.
The sales clerk continues to stare at me.
Wait, is that me?
I think so.
You know, you look really familiar.
He says, "Huh? Really?" I perk up at that. Maybe I can find out something about who I am.
Yeah, you totally look like some pop singer or TV personality. I just can't remember who.
Oh, that's what you meant. My shoulders slump in disappointment. Look, if you're trying to flatter me, how about a discount on the necklace?
Sure, okay. I mean, it's just something I picked up off the side of the road. Oh, wow. Oh.
The sales clerk stammers for a moment.
Okay, how about I take off 10,000? 30,000 and it's yours.
You mean it? That perks me right back up. Guess I'm easy to please.
Damn it. Sure, you look like you might need to buy some new clothes, too.
He points to my sweater. Oh, it's ripped. There's a tiny tear in the left shoulder.
So, what do you want to do about the cat?
The sales clerk adds.
Want me to dispose of it for you?
He gestures at my costume with his jaw. Oh, right. What should I do? I feel a little guilty about having him go out of his way for me more than he has already. Maybe I should deal with it myself. He looks a bit disappointed when I tell him that. I buy the necklace for 30,000 yen and leave the knick-knack shop, hauling the costume with me. But as I walk along, I start regretting my decision. I can't find a good place to throw the cat outfit away. Finally, I stop a convenience store that looks like it'll do just fine. One of the employees is out front, cleaning out the trash can. Several large garbage bags line the side of the road. Perfect. Maybe I can have him toss out the costume along with everything else. Excuse me, so I've got this old cat suit here. I figured it can't hurt to ask.
Hold on. Someone new, I guess. Emilio?
Yeah, I know.
The shop boy takes the costume for me.
You're here to throw this thing out. I got it.
He sounds wholly unsurprised. He accepts it so blithely that I actually feel bad.
It's been like this all morning.
He says.
I don't even care anymore. Just throw away what you need and be on your way, I guess.
It's been like what all morning?
I'm out here cleaning and people keep dumping trash on me. First it was this couple that up and threw a garbage bag at me.
After that, some homeless-looking guy came by, took all his clothes off, and left. Like just now, some chubby girl tossed out some empty cardboard boxes and a bunch of empty bottles.
That must have been Chiri. She was probably drinking the burning hammer while she walked along.
So when you came by just now with this thing, I knew right away. Yep, this again.
I'm sorry.
It's alright. 3 times, 4 times, what's the difference?
He flashes a bright smile, but it's clearly insincere. Then he looks at me more closely.
Huh? Aren't you the girlfriend of that dude who threw the bag of garbage at me?
What? Nope, not me.
Huh. Guess I'm misremembering then.
Well, anyway, thanks for your help with this. I give the guy a bow. A few minutes later, near the station, I spot a sort of mall. Checking the directory by the entrance, I see that it's got several clothing shops and an arcade inside. They probably sell shirts in here. I hurry on inside. The interior of the building is like a twisting maze of corridors, all of them overflowing with people. I take the escalator to the second floor and find myself amidst rows of arcade games. I was trying to get to the fashion area, but I must have gone the wrong way.
Excuse me. I've seen a lost little girl, have you?
I turn to see a miserable-looking middle-aged man peering at me anxiously.
Is she there? A little girl, about 10 years old.
A girl around 10? Have I seen her? What's her name?
Hana Toyama.
Hana? Oh, that's a pretty name.
So, yeah, she's about yay tall.
The man launches into a rapid-fire explanation, describing the girl's features, hair, and clothes.
Got survey from her around Senegai. She likes this place, so I thought maybe she'd come here.
Center guy? That's right, now I remember. This is the guy I bumped into earlier in the afternoon while I was racing around in the cat costume. He got separated from his daughter? Yikes. If she did come here, it's not going to be easy to find her in the midst of these crowds. Are you sure she didn't go back home? I ask.
Well, there's this problem.
He mutters.
Going home isn't an option.
Well, that's not really an explanation.
Sorry to bother you. I'll look around a bit more.
With that, Hana's father disappears into the crowd. I leave the arcade and head for the fashion area. I bump into Mr. Yanagishita in a hallway lined with photo booths. Huh? Boss? What's he doing in a place like this?
Oh, Tama! You're out of the suit!
For some reason, he's got a bunch of magazines strewn across the floor. Yeah, finally managed to get it off.
That's good. I wish you could have been at the sales demo without your face hidden away.
What are you doing? You mentioned something about a creek earlier. Are you going on a trip?
Yeah, I was. But then I remembered something important. I get motion sickness with something fierce.
He sounds kind of proud of himself.
So yeah, no trips for me. Heck, I don't even want to think about that now.
What about the money you owe? I ask, curious.
Well, as it happens, I think I may have found my solution.
He brings a hand to his mouth and giggles.
Right here! I found a great way to make a killing.
He opens the magazine he's holding to reveal a scratch card with a potential 100,000 yen prize.
You just gotta scratch off one of these to win 100,000 yen! All I need is 30 of them and my debt's squared away. Each magazine I can nab is more money for me.
Despite his enthusiasm, his story doesn't quite add up. Are those scratch cards guaranteed to win?
No, of course not. It's a lottery sort of thing.
Well, then having 30 copies of the magazine is hardly a foolproof solution. Quite the opposite, in fact, but I hold my tongue.
Okay then. Now that my goddess of fortune Tama's here, let me hurry and scratch these suckers off.
Yanagishita begins fervently scratching away at the first card with the coin.
Oh, that one's a loser. Maybe the next one, nope. That's a loser too. Damn it. So this one? And this one?
In a spectacular display, he scratches off one losing card after another. Soon, he's down to just one last magazine. You're not a very lucky person, are you?
Oh, please don't say that.
Mr. Yanagishita looks like he's on the verge of tears. I stare at one of the losing scratch cards. You know, if you could just see the symbols through the card, you'd win for sure, I say jokingly. I hold the card up to the light. When I do, I really can see the symbols through the card. Boss, I think I might have just...
Shh!
He interrupts me before I can share my shocking discovery. I look at him in surprise. Mr. Yanagishita has gone all pale.
Quiet, Tama! Those guys are here!
He shoves me into a photo booth. Those guys?
The debt collectors!
He hisses.
They just do not give up!
He clutches the sides of his head. Peeking out of the booth, I spot a pair of men who look pretty rough around the edges. Is it those two?
Shh! Not so loud!
The men are looking around, and they're getting closer and closer.
What do I do? Oh, what do I do?
Mr. Yanagishita starts getting panicky.
Tama, what do I do?
I have no idea.
Oh, this is not good. This is not good.
Mr. Yanagishita whimpers.
What's that?
B, sorry. This guy gave me a job, so I kind of owe him. I look around for a better place for the two of us to hide. Unfortunately, I don't really see anywhere that might work. We might be safest staying right where we are. Just stay nice and still and we'll be fine, I whisper.
Yeah. You're probably right.
The curtain is drawn so people can't see inside, but just to keep up appearances, we start taking photos as if we're normal customers.
I really hope they don't look in here.
Mr. Yanagishita murmurs.
What will we do if they find us?
They won't, just don't worry. Despite my reassurances, it was a while before he stopped trembling. Then he said,
You know, Tama, they say that when a man and a woman meet under unusual circumstances, it's easy for them to fall in love.
Uh-huh. Do they now?
They do. Going through an extreme situation together makes them fall for each other. So, wanna go get married?
No way. Yeah, I am not having this conversation. Anyway, I think they're gone now. The debt collectors, I mean. Mr. Yanagishita peeks out and quickly scans the surrounding area.
They're gone? They're gone! So long, losers!
His fear is given way to a burst of manic energy.
Guess I'm in the clear now. Thanks, Tama. Come on, let's take some commemorative photos.
Huh? To commemorate what exactly?
Come on, it'll be fun. Okay, big smile now. Ready? Cheese, butter, margarine.
After that, I part ways with Mr. Yanagishita and head to a different floor. I don't tell him about being able to see through the scratch cards. The guy really ought to develop a proper work ethic.
Yanagishita. I think it's Yanagishita, maybe. Emilio?
Oh, it's me? Okay. Hey, come on, wait up!
I'm on the escalator to the 3rd floor when I hear someone shouting. I figure it's someone yelling to their kid, but when I turn to look, I see a young man I don't recognize staring right at me.
Okay, someone else. Nolan.
Where are you going? It's not safe for us to get separated.
I think it's Justin.
Nope.
I think it's Justin.
Oh, right.
What? Who's this weirdo? Is this some new pickup trick or something? I rush up the escalator to get away from the guy.
Excuse me?
When I get to the restaurant section on the 4th floor, I'm hit with a sudden pang of hunger. Come to think of it, I haven't eaten a thing all day. I'm so hungry, I mutter to myself as I walk around. What should I eat? Then I spot Chiri coming out of a Chinese restaurant. Hey, Chiri! She turns to look at me, confused.
CJ.
Who are you?
We'll help. Let CJ take over.
Who are you?
Oh, it's me. It's Tama.
Huh. I thought I recognized that voice.
She replies with a nod. Did you eat again? I ask.
Well, yeah, but then they kicked me out. Isn't that just terrible?
She looks pretty displeased.
I came here because they said it was all you can eat. But then they closed the shop because they ran out of food.
Oh wow, you're right. I spot one of the restaurant staff hanging a closed sign on the front door.
Man, now my early afternoon snack is ruined.
An afternoon snack? At an all-you-can-eat buffet? I can't help but stare at Chiri's midsection, amazed by what that stomach is capable of.
By the way, have you seen the boss?
She asks.
I thought he'd finally accepted that he needs to buckle down and work, but he's got some new crazy scheme. Guess that guy's just never gonna learn. I figure nothing good's gonna come from associating with him. I'd be careful if I were you, too.
Huh. Done with her little rant, Chiri says goodbye and heads off among the restaurants.
Hitomi?
Who said that? Were they talking to me? I turn to see a businessman of some sort staring in my direction. Like everyone I've run into today, I don't recognize him. For some reason, though, I feel relaxed in his presence.
Is that you, Hitomi? Hitomi?
Could that be my name?
Or are you Maria?
No, As I fumble for words, the man peers at me with obvious concern.
What are you doing in a place like this? We need to get you back home. Your parents are worried sick.
My parents? Did someone file a missing person report while I've been wandering around with amnesia? The man leads the way, and I follow. We leave the Gigo building, but head down a narrow alleyway. Then the man suddenly stops. I feel a jolt of anxiety as I notice something gleaming in his hand.
It doesn't matter which of the two you are. You're both in a way.
He mutters, almost as if talking to himself. Right after that, everything goes dark. I died. I liked the explosion death much more than this one.
I didn't.
Frank.
I do not want others intruding into my domain. Accordingly, I do not intrude on others. That is how I've lived my life. That is how I've forged my sense of calm. But something has begun to drive me mad. The boundaries between myself and others have started to collapse. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I will become something other than myself. And that is one thing I fear I could never bear.
Oh, no, you don't!
Kajiwara tackled Tanaka as he strode toward the door. Two men collapsed in a heap in the front entryway.
Hey!
Tanaka barked.
What are you doing?
Hold still!
Kajiwara ran his bug tracker over Tanaka's body. It began beeping loudly.
Huh!
Kajiwara pulled off Tanaka's necktie clip.
It's a listening device.
Tanaka's face went pale.
Where did you get this?
Kajiwara demanded.
Well...
Tanaka trailed off into silence.
Panda.
Probably me.
Oh, because you.
I gave it to him.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I gave it to him.
It was I who appeared on the second floor landing. You were listening in? Osawa asked brokenly.
Ma'am,
Kajiwara said.
would you mind explaining this?
For once, he seemed deadly serious.
I was barely able to hear a thing. That's what I get for going with something so cheap.
I held out a dangling earpiece. When and where did you get that?
Earlier today, when I left to do some shopping.
And why did you plant a listening device on Mr. Tanaka?
Kajiwara asked.
That's what I want to know.
Tanaka chimed in.
Why'd you do this, Mrs. Osara?
He was trembling.
You were outside emailing someone earlier, weren't you, Mr. Tanaka? I saw you from the window.
Emailing?
Kajiwara looked into Tanaka's face. I nodded.
He came back into the house shortly afterward, and I asked him where he'd gone. And what did you think he said,
He was practically gloating, playing to her little audience. She began stalking down the stairs.
He said he'd gone to check on something at the lab.
Oh no, I think that is you.
Yeah, that's I. Jules?
He said he'd be gone to check on something at the lab, despite the fact that he was out in the yard there fiddling with his phone the whole time. So I'd figured if I bugged him, he might show his true colors. And...
Enough. Osawa cut his wife off. Tanaka had been emailing Hitomi, of course, but he couldn't reveal that now.
I think I get what happened here.
Kajiwara interposed. He folded his arms.
Your wife thought that Mr. Tanaka was in contact with the kidnappers. And so she planted a listening device on him.
The detective peered at Tanaka.
Who were you emailing, sir?
Yes, that's right.
I chirped.
Show us your phone, Mr. Tanaka. Let's see what you were really up to. Or is there some reason you don't want to show us?
Osawa started to panic. If the police checked that cell phone, they'd find the emails from Hitomi. And if the kidnappers somehow found out about that, Maria's life would be in danger. But I was still relentlessly advancing on Tanaka. I stop this.
Darling?
She turned to him in surprise. Tanaka was sending emails on my behalf, Osawa said. I asked him to do it.
And just who was he emailing?
It was... He needed to think of a lie, fast. Oh, we're going with C. It was Pretty Honey. The room went silent.
Yeah. Pretty... Wait. What did you say?
Kajiwara asked after a long, awkward moment. Honey? Osawa replied meekly. My apologies. Oh no.
Yeah, that's sorry.
No, that still might be me.
My apologies. I didn't quite catch that. One more time.
Pretty Honey. Osawa's voice was scarcely audible.
Pretty honey?
I asked, sounding ashamed on his behalf.
Who's that?
Osawa felt his cheeks burning. Of all the names he might have chose, why had he picked that one?
Who is it, sir?
Kajiwara demanded. He regarded Osawa's face keenly. A personal associate of mine. You wouldn't know them.
But why ask Tanaka to send the messages?
Kajiwara asked.
Don't you have a computer in your study? Couldn't you have sent them emails yourself?
My computer was having problems sending email. Not sure what the issue was. Look, the point is,
Oh no, that was me. My computer was having problems sending email. I'm not sure what the issue was. Look, the point is, there's no reason to worry about Tanaka's emails. Now, I assume we're done here? I need Tanaka to run some errands for me. With that, Osawa opened the front door. Tanaka gave him a quick bow and headed out that door.
Hey, wait!
I started to go after him. Just calm down, Osawa barred the way. There's no way he's connected to the kidnappers. Can't you see that? His voice cracked and he shuddered at a sudden rush of emotion.
There, sir,
Kajiwara said consolingly.
She's just deeply worried about your daughter.
I turned around and marched back upstairs.
But still, if she is that worried, giving a tie clip as a gift seems a bit...
Kajiwara's muttering trailed off. What do you mean? Osawa asked.
Nothing. Not important.
The detective waved a hand dismissively, but there had been a definite note of suspicion in his voice.
Well, back to work.
Kajiwara headed back into the living room. Osawa returned to his study and sat in front of his computer. He had no desire to be in the presence of the detectives who now crowded his living room. The Aya Kamiki fan forum for people 40 and over was still open on his monitor. He reloaded the page and saw that his earlier thread had gotten a reply. It was from Pretty Honey, a regular contributor to Osawa's threads. Do you want me to read Pretty
Yes.
Honey? I'm opposed to the idea of Aya Kamiki expanding into America. She should be able to enjoy the success she's earned in Japan without having to struggle overseas. Aya has done so much for us. I'd like her to keep supporting Japan forever. The message was festooned with the sorts of emoticons that a young girl might use. Pretty Honey claimed to be a 19-year-old female college student. Although the community was meant for Aya Kamiki fans 40 and over, the settings allowed anyone to post there. The only young woman among the members, however, was Pretty Honey. By the way, have you tried the Aya fortune teller yet? There's a link below. Fortune telling, huh? Osawa stared. Should he ask it whether Maria was safe? If it gave him a good answer, he'd believe it. If it were a bad answer, he wouldn't. It might be worth a shot, just for the peace of mind it'd bring. He clicked the link, and the Aya fortune teller page came up. It asked you to enter your birth date and sex, and then Aya Kamiki would offer her advice. Osawa followed the instructions, entering his date of birth, selecting male, and then clicking next. A few seconds later, his fortune was displayed. You're a very work-minded person. He'd hoped for some insight on Maria, but instead it was just a write-up about his personality. You'd never be able to get by without the devoted support of those around you, but you probably don't realize that, do you? It's a big mistake to think you can get through all of life's challenges on your own. There's nothing cool about being ignorant. If you don't get over your indifference to the world might start to harbor quite a grudge. Find a way to connect more deeply with the people around you and start living a better life before it's too late. Just do that, and you're sure to have a wonderful future ahead. Famous people who got your result. Shinosuke Orai. Osawa couldn't help but feel that the advice was painfully appropriate. He went back to the forum and replied to Pretty Honey. Nice to hear from you again, Pretty Honey. I definitely know how you feel about Aya Kamiki being ours. Still, I'm confident she's got what it takes to persevere and succeed in America. And if she does fail, well, all of us in Japan will be here to welcome her back all the same. Guess this voyage to America I've concocted just has me a little worked up. Osawa clicked post and leaned back in his chair. Mr. Osawa! Mr. Osawa! It was Kajiwara, shouting from outside the door. First the toilet, then lunch. What is it now?
There's been a development in the case. Please join us in the living room. We have important matters to discuss.
Kajiwara had his detective face on. When Osawa entered the living room, I was already there, looking stern and solemn.
Now that you're both here,
Kajiwara said,
allow me to share what we know. We've identified a location that appears to be the Syndicate's hideout.
You have? What about Maria? Is she there? Osawa exclaimed.
We still haven't been able to ascertain whether your daughter is safe.
Well then, what were these important matters you needed to discuss? Osawa felt a wave of anxiety rush through him.
The hideout in question is a condominium in Hiru. And it's owned by...
By whom?
Mr. Osawa. Please, calm down.
Tell me! Go on, out with it! Kajiwara took a deep breath.
The residence is owned by Mamoru Tanaka.
Osawa was speechless. He couldn't process what he was hearing. Tanaka?
Lies!
I shrieked.
Just what are you implying? That Mr. Tanaka is the kidnapper? Where's your proof?
With all due respect, ma'am, weren't you suspicious of Mr. Tanaka yourself?
Well, I suppose, but...
You did go so far as to stick a listening device on him.
Flustered, I withdrew into a vacant silence. The sudden ringing of a phone startled everyone in the room. Was that Tanaka? No, it couldn't be. There was no way. The phone was wiretapped. The detective wearing the headset nodded to Kajiwara, who in turn motioned for Osawa to pick up. "Hello?" he said cautiously.
Nolan.
Oh, hello. Is this the home of Maria Osawa?
The voice was not Tanaka's. Osawa didn't recognize it, but the veil of despair that hung before him thinned slightly.
Is this the home of Hitomi Osawa?
This time, the man on the phone used Hitomi's name instead. "Yes, that's right." The caller immediately hung up. As Osawa stood there, dumbstruck, Kajiwara gently took the receiver and hung up the phone. One of the detectives addressed Kajiwara.
Panda.
We've traced the source of the call to a cell phone. Also, we've pinpointed the base station used. Inform Director Kuze so he can prepare a team just in case.
"Just in case?" Osawa asked. "What do you mean by that?" Kajiwara frowned slightly.
Just because
Just
this
because
is a mirror.
I don't know. I'll let you take it.
Just because this is a kidnapping case doesn't mean that every phone call comes from the kidnapper. We'll look into it, of course, but...
Ah, I see.
Besides, right now, confirming Mr. Tanaka's whereabouts takes priority. Don't you agree?
Osawa nodded.
Someone should call him.
The detective added.
Justin.
"I'll do it."
Okay.
"Oh, no."
Oh.
No.
I'll do it.
I got out her cell phone and dialed up Tanaka.
Where was Mr. Tanaka headed?
Kajiwara asked. He eyed Osawa keenly. B. I don't actually know. Even leaving out the part about Hitomi, that was still the truth. If Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, Osawa knew he ought to tell the police about the blue minivan and the emails from his daughter. But part of him still trusted Tanaka deep down, and he couldn't bring himself to reveal it all.
We have investigators en route to Tanaka's condominium,
Kajiwara said.
Let's wait for them to report in.
On the far side of the room, I was squawking in frustration. Despite several attempts, she hadn't been able to get through to Tanaka. Kajiwara's phone rang and he pulled it from his pocket.
Kano? What's going on?
He headed into one corner as he spoke into the receiver.
I suppose that'd be all right. What for, though?
After a few more quiet words, Kajiwara held out his phone to Osawa.
One of the investigators on the scene would like to speak with you.
Frowning in confusion, Osawa took hold of the phone. Osawa speaking. Can I help you?
This is Detective Kano from Shibuya Precinct. Time is critical, so I need to just cut to the chase here.
There was a pause as the speaker took a deep breath before continuing.
Do you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi?
What? Osawa was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret. So how did some detective from the Shibuya precinct know about it? Osawa was bewildered.
I'm the one asking the questions here, Mr. Osawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Osawa.
Osawa's mind went blank when he heard what Kano said next. He could give no reply.
Mr. Osawa?
The detective continued after a moment.
Is everything alright?
Without really thinking, Osawa hung up. They were after the virus? Did he mean the UA virus kept at the lab? Wait, hold on. The detective had to be wrong about that. The kidnappers must have the UA virus already. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to do what I did to Hitomi. Do not look away. These are your crimes. At last, Osawa understood what those emails from A were all about. They were a preview of the tragedy that was yet to unfold. Kidnappers probably meant to start the main event soon. It might already be too late to stop them.
Mr. Osawa,
Kajiwara asked.
are you alright?
The detective gazed with concern into Osawa's ashen face. Bracing himself, Osawa spoke up, his voice hoarse and dry. A killer virus is about to be unleashed in Tokyo. And I know who's responsible. It's me. The sudden confession caused the detectives on site to stir like a hornet nest. Please, arrest me. Feeling the weight of his crimes crushing down on him, Osawa dropped his gaze to the floor. He held out both his wrists. I'll tell you everything down at the station, he said. Anything you need to know. Osawa imagined bodies dropping left and right. There were limits to what might be cured by the small stockpile of antiviral his lab currently contained. If they were unable to quarantine the infected in time, then Shibuya, no, all of Japan, might be engulfed in a pandemic that the drug could never stop. He could only hope that his complying with the authorities might help stop the spread of the infection before it was too late.